Bowling Green.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
Basketball, one current and one former basketball player didn't.
And current football.
And current football player, yes. But of course, Kenny Anebo and Khalil McDonald got arrested this weekend. Anebo got charged with possession of marijuana, tampering with physical evidence, failure to illuminate his headlights. And you also got Khalil McDonald charged with a DUI. It happened on consecutive days over the weekend. And, of course, the big news we're going to talk about, Kenny Anebo joining the football team. It looks like that's going to be short-lived after 3 practices. So, what are you guys' takes on this?
Now, I've been saying since Kenny got here that he needed to play football. So, when I heard that news on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, I was real excited. I said put him at tight end because, you see a lot of basketball players have success at
And
tight end.
your defensive end, no.
Defensive end would have worked too. But, I guess we'll see what the decision ends up being as far as, whatever comes down with him. But I guess it's probably not looking great for him, but hopefully we can work something out maybe.
Yeah, of course, tampering with physical evidence, that's the big thing. That's a felony charge right there. So, apparently, it's been reported that, he actually got pulled over and tried to actually, swallow the weed.
Yeah, that's what Jeff Wood said. He saw the police report, apparently, from WBKO, and I think he's probably the only one because I talked to Chad Bishop this afternoon, and they didn't give it to Bowling Green Daily News. But anyways, according to the police report, that's right, when he got pulled over for not having his headlights on, and then whenever they were pulling him over, he tried to ingest the marijuana or whatever he had in there, and it just doesn't work out well when you.
It's new flavored bubble gum, man. Made by Bubble Yum. Oh, wow. But here's the thing, though. If
Maybe in Colorado.
Yeah. One thing. You're kind of drawing attention to yourself by driving down the street without your headlights on, for one. So it would probably be best not to have any paraphernalia in your car while you're doing that. So.
Yeah, Bowling Green, you get pulled over for everything.
Yeah.
And you can't get away with anything in Bowling Green. It's a lot different than some of the other.
I had my car searched one time for having a headlight out in Warren County, so they take those headlights pretty seriously, apparently.
Did you come away clean on that?
I did. It was a tough day, but everything worked out all right.
According to Kenny's jail records, it's $2,000 bond if you have your headlights out.
Glad I didn't go to jail.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
When he got out, he just got out this afternoon. So.
Yeah. So he's been.
And Khalil is still in jail right now.
Yeah. So it's pretty major charges, and of course Khalil, former basketball player, but Khalil's 26 years old. DUIs. All these are real serious issues, especially a DUI. You're kind of putting your own life at risk and the lives of others whenever you get in a car. Of course, that's, and a lot of people are going to say, well, he's young and you make mistakes, but Khalil's 26 years old. He's not young anymore. So, players like that just need to know better. If you're downtown Bowling Green or anything like that, call a cab. Cab ride. Call and pay the money.
Arrive alive.
Arrive alive. Yeah. So and a lot of people kind of make that case for Kenny, which I don't think Kenny's had any prior issues or anything like that, but. Still he's, 21, 22 years old, and still something he knows he probably should not be doing. But, You know, I mean, what do you think his issues? Of course, you know, he joined the football team last week, and, you know, what do you think his standing is on the basketball team right now? Do you think he's going to stay, or you think he's going to be gone?
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, we saw how, you know, players have been disciplined in the past with the basketball team. I mean, Harper's a different coach. I mean, it's one of those that can be up in the air if Harper feels that, you know, maybe Kenny knows he made a mistake and, you know, he hasn't made any mistakes before, then, you know, maybe give him a second chance and see where he goes with it. But, you know, I think that's still going to depend on the, you know, what happens as far as the police investigation and where the, you know, where it goes in court and stuff.
Yeah. Still a lot to be kind of deciphered and everything like that. Go through the court process and everything, but
I think he's absolutely done. I think he's off the team. He's going to get kicked off the team, I'm sure. He was in jail for 36 hours. There's something going on besides just a little bit of marijuana. I'm assuming. I've talked to a couple other people, and they think the same thing. So, I mean, and plus tampering with evidence, that could be felony in some cases. I think a guy from Louisville got same thing, same situation.
That would be ex-linebacker Willie Williams, who he pretty much had the same charges, tampering with physical evidence and things like that, and got kicked off the team. But obviously, a little bit different aspect. Willie Williams was he's a little troubled as a youth, and I mean that was probably the fifth or sixth time he's been arrested. I mean he played for multiple college teams, started out at Miami. And, you know, I think he's actually in jail right now. So, I mean, he's just one of those that got you know, probably 2 or 3 chances at playing football in college level and pros, but just couldn't do it. But, yeah, whenever he was at Louisville, he got charged with similar things, and he got kicked off the team.
I think the thing with Kenny, you know, obviously we don't know what goes on behind closed doors with the team and everything. I don't know if he's had any – I don't know of any prior issues that he's had with the team. From all things I've heard, he's been – you know, a pretty solid citizen and teammate since he's been here. So I think, you know, that'll come into play somehow. But, yeah, I think you'll have to see where the charges go and everything and I guess make a decision from that point.
Yeah, they still haven't even set a court date yet. So I really do think there's something else going on besides just getting pulled over and having marijuana on him. Plus, sounds bad, but Western needs another scholarship for next year. So if it's a case where – I mean, it's funny, but it's good again. I mean, they do need another scholarship for next year, so it may be a case where, well, this is an easy way to get that scholarship. So,
well,
you said it.
Well, I mean, you say that though, but
I'm just reading between the lines. I mean,
you say that though, but I mean, you bring up a valid point. I mean, it is a pretty serious charge. I think if he just got, serious. I think if there was just weed in the car and he didn't touch it or anything like that, it's a little bit different story. But the fact that he was trying to hide it and put it in his mouth and try to swallow it, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, Spence Sheldon got a PI last year, which I realize isn't as big of a deal as marijuana. But then again, Spence was underage, so that's just as illegal as, I guess, having marijuana. So he's still on the team. Of course, he's not on a scholarship either. But I guess we'll see how that kind of goes out. I don't know. I think he's off the team. But
Spence wasn't driving a vehicle either, though.
Yeah, he was walking down the street.
He was just walking down the street.
I know, but I mean, illegal is illegal.
No, I mean, that's true.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think he'll probably be kicked off the team. I mean, I think I kind of put it in perspective as just what I said a while ago. You know, if he just got pulled over and there was weed in the car. And, you know, it might be a little bit different story, might cut him some slack, but the fact that he tried to hide it and swallow it, you know, I think that's kind of unacceptable, in my opinion. I think like I said, there's court dates, and he was held in jail for, you know, a couple of days, so, I mean, you're probably going to see a lot more come out of it. I mean, you know, a felony charge, that's serious stuff right there, so, you know, I think he'll eventually be kicked off the team. That's just speculation, though. You know, it's just our opinions. But
I think he could have been a heck of a defensive end, too, for the football team.
Yeah, he actually put on a couple of good moves during the
If you talked to Brandon Harris from the other day, Brandon was saying that Kenny got double teamed. He just held 2 guys out like this, just held their helmets, just knocked them together. Went right around him.
But yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I think he's probably going to be gone. So, I mean, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. And like you were saying, you know, it kind of goes back to you know, we hate to kind of put it in perspective, but you kind of did, Adam, with you know, talk about freeing up a scholarship for recruiting. I mean, you know, and I know people want us to talk about recruits and everything like that, but you know, I know there's another big issue with Dominic Hawkins, the point guard / shooting guard out of Madison Central. Yep. He's going to make a big announcement Wednesday morning about where he's going to go to school.
Wednesday at 7, so be sure to wake up early and get into Twitter for that one.
A lot of the speculation is that he's probably going to be a Kentucky Wildcat. But, I mean, you never know. I mean, he hadn't
officially got an offer from UK yet.
Yeah, he hasn't really officially got an offer or anything like that. So,
and I think people would actually be surprised that, Western is still right up there on his list. I mean, don't be surprised if he does choose Western. But, I mean, it's, I know he's grew up around that area, and he grew up in the heart of UK territory. And
yeah, he's also expressed that he's a big UK fan too.
Yeah, Cal wants a Kentucky guy on the team. I mean, they're working out something right now to get him on the team. I mean, he might not be athletic, but there's all kinds of ways around getting a scholarship, an athletic scholarship. You can move money around and get different kind of funds and grants and stuff. So I think you'll probably see him in a Wildcat uniform next year. He may not play a lot up there, but he'll probably be wearing blue next year.
Well, we got all our players on campus now, going after students wearing UK gear on campus. I would hate to see a player wearing UK gear around campus.
That would be pretty unfortunate.
I think Eddie Alcantara is the biggest fashion police whenever it comes to wearing other teams' gear, especially UK's. So
Brandon Harris said he just ignores people. If he walks into class and somebody's got UK gear on, he just doesn't talk to them. He goes, I talk to everybody, but if I see him with UK gear on, I just don't talk to him.
But you talk about Dominique Hawkins. I mean, Western's kind of been there recruiting from the beginning. So I mean, I think that's probably going to play an important factor too. And I mean, another factor to bring up too, and you brought it up, Adam, is if he goes to UK, I mean, with all those McDonald's All-Americans, is he really going to see that much playing time, He
probably won it next year, but then, Kentucky's got to reload again after that. So he's a guy that's not going to be a one and done. He's going to be a 4-year player.
Yeah.
So, it might be something where, your year is not your freshman year, but, you can come up here and be a star your junior and senior year. So I guess we'll see how it plays out.
There's a good quote from the Herald Leader today. I guess Brad Stevens from Butler called Madison Central's coach and tried to, just see if it was too late to get on his recruitment or whatever,
really?
Just to see what's going on. The quote was, this is what Brad Stevens said. He said, I know he's probably already going to UK, but I just wanted to check and make sure. And then apparently Madison Central's coach told him it was too late to get in on him. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'll make it sound too great for us. If he goes to UK and wants to sit the bench for a year and then see what happens, more power to him. I'm still happy with the guys that we've got coming in next year,
And we still have a few options.
Yeah, we still definitely got a couple other options for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that, but I mean, I always bring this up. You see in-state kids like that are so talented, but they go to Kentucky and they just kind of rot away on the bench. It seems like, And
I made the analogy to you a couple weeks ago of Brandon Stockton, and I got to see Stockton play a lot. And he was about the same kind of talent level, Mr. Basketball out of Glasgow.
Uh-huh.
And, went on the bench, and I think he averaged like 0.8 points for his career at UK or something like that. So
I mean,
it's even like Patrick Sparks. Like I think if Patrick Sparks would have stayed at Western, he would have been.
Oh, he'd be an all-time great here.
He'd been an all-time great here, but he went to UK, and while he did play, I mean, I don't think it was anything comparable to what he would have got if he had been here.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, it's their decision to make ultimately. And whatever makes them happy. But
I hate to see fans knocking kids for choosing the wrong stuff like that. I mean, if he wants to go there, let him go there. I mean, I have all the faith in Ray Harper in the world to still get the players that that are going to play well for us. And
I've always said I want the players here that want to be here and want to be Hilltoppers. So if he wants to go somewhere else, that's fine. I want a guy that wants to come to campus and be a part of this atmosphere.
Sure.
But it kind of shows like the the power of Kentucky and Calipari and all that stuff, because he wasn't really getting a whole lot of looks from Kentucky until about the state tournament, and then they started going in and recruiting him hard, and then all of a sudden it became Kentucky's in the lead. But like I said, he grew up a Cats fan, and that has a lot to do with it. So I mean, anytime somebody grows up a Cats fan, you get an offer to play basketball there, it's kind of hard to just kind of brush it off and not accept it. But, it is what it is, and, like I said, I think a lot of people here, despite not getting the Hawkins kids, going to have a lot of faith in Ray Harper and his recruiting ability, getting the kids here that want to be here. So, I mean, there's a lot more other options out there.
I posted on message boards today on Haven that this class, I posted on Haven, sorry, guys.
Haven.
But,
what's that?
This class, we've still got a lot of, guys that are moving into the upper classes, and there's some talented guys that are still going to be our key players for a few years. So this class right now, while there's some talented guys in it, is more of really like kind of gap fillers, honestly. And they're going to be guys that are going to contribute. Like, I don't want to knock this class at all, but the big class as far as the continuation of the program is going to be next year, 2014. And Ray's after a lot of pretty big-time players in that class. And I'm anxious to see more who we're going to get out of that class than I am worried about the last scholarship or whatever in this class.
Exactly. And, I mean, you look at a lot of people are kind of wanting to talk about recruiting and all that stuff, but just like you said, next year is going to be the big year.
Yeah.
This year we already got a Lasan call, and we got a couple of transfers too. So we don't have a lot of room to get a lot of players this year. So I'd say next year is going to be a kind of the big year to see what Ray is out there doing as far as recruiting and bringing kids in. So that's going to be big for next year. So
we're gonna have a very senior laden team next year too, or not senior laden, but upperclassmen.
Yeah.
A lot of juniors
next year. A lot of juniors.
A lot of experience. A lot of points. Coming back. I don't know where TJ and George set. I know they both set around the 900 point mark for the first 2 years.
Well, I did the math before the championship in Hot Springs, and they were both in the 820s in total points. So what I had the last 2 games on from there, and then whatever they would have. So probably about 850 or so for each in career points.
Okay.
How many? I'd like to do the math on if they keep their average up, where they end up on the all-time scoring charts, because it's got to be.
You got to think if they keep improving, they're both looking close to 2,000 career points, and we've got 3 players that have done that here, 3 or 4, right at it. But, they're gonna be up there for sure.
All right, you talk about, of course, you got the Final Four tonight, and of course, the championship game. But you still in the Final Four. You had Wichita State. You've had Butler in the championship game recently. Also in VCU. Are we setting? Can Western Kentucky accomplish a feat like that?
Western was a couple points away 2 or 3 years ago from making it to the Elite Eight against UCLA. And then you kind of saw the arrival of Ken McDonald, and then everything. I'm not trying to bash him, but that's when we were doing so good for a couple years there and making our way up there, so we could compare ourselves to Gonzaga, Drake, whoever, Butler. And then you saw 2 years of a slump, but I think we're making our way back up there. You can tell Ray Harper's a tournament coach, but he's a good coach too throughout the whole year, and he's getting good players in. And I think next year is going to be the year you can tell if Western's going to do anything, if they're going to be a 25-win team again and 30-win team. Then next year is definitely going to be the year. Ray's got his players in, so there's really no excuses. If it's another 500 year, then I think you're looking at Western's going to be a 500 team for a while. You got to be able to have a big year next year.
Yeah, you got to make the jump from the 16th seed and move it up next year. I think we could have this year. Injuries played a big part of that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to play the what if game looking back on this year, but
you got to keep in mind too. Next year is still only Ray Harper's second full year as head coach. They usually always say give coaches 3 years to get everything in place with how they want it to be. He'll have had 2.5, but that's. I think the biggest thing is going to be continuity, which is when Darren Horn left and K-Mac came in, we kind of we lost that, and then I think Ray Harper is one of those guys that is going to stay here probably till he retires, as long as
I hope so.
He loves Bowling Green. His family's here. This is a different situation than what we've run into in the past when we've hired coaches. He's legitimately always wanted to be here, and I know we've heard that a lot, that this is a destination job for me with about every coach we've hired. But
I'm tired of that phrase.
But I think with Ray Harper, it kind of really is, and with the teams making the Final Four, and having all these quote unquote mid-major teams making the Final Four, I think if Western can do that, then what's the why go to a big school if you can do it, do it here? And Western is a basketball school.
You look at Wichita State this year, I think they had at most 2-3 stars on the roster. They were such a pieced together roster of JUCOs, and Clay Anthony Early, who's been one of their best players in the tournament, was a D3 JUCO player, from the bottom levels of JUCO, and to come in and be a double machine for him in the tournament. It shows that you need a good coach more. Recruiting's big, coaching's big.
They have a good coach.
I'm going to take it. And I think Ray Harper's a lot in the mold of Greg Marshall from Wichita State. Same kind of deal there.
And I think it's important too. You talk about all these, all these different teams like Butler and VCU, and Wichita State. It's continuity at the head coaching position. Yeah. You had Brad Stevens and Shaka Smart. They're still coaching at Butler and VCU, and they've been offered jobs at UCLA and places like that. But it's a whole different thing whenever you go from coaching at VCU to UCLA. Your expectations are so high, and they're comfortable where they are, and their athletic their university is showing them some love and extending their contracts and getting them paid more. And I mean,
that's the thing. Western, like, if we want to keep good coaches, which I think our athletic department is doing a great job of doing now, is anteing up and paying the market prices for what coaches are going to be worth. I mean, if a coach deserves a raise, give him a raise.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the professors on campus always complain about, the coach makes more than any of the teachers, and there's no reason they should be the highest paid person on campus. But if you look at every major university,
just the way it is.
The coaches are the highest paid players. And if you don't think athletics drives admissions, look at what happened with Florida Gulf Coast in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they start winning some games, and their their admissions page gets like 5,000 views in a day.
Gets shut down.
And they had never even had over 1,000 in a day. So I mean, athletics drives the bus, regardless of the level of the university.
Yeah, I think I've seen on Twitter.
Unless you're Harvard or something like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen on Twitter where like Florida Gulf Coast admissions rate went up so many %. So I mean, it just goes to show you what kind of an impact sports can have.
I applied, but they didn't let me.
they didn't let you in the Florida Gulf Coast.
It's the best looking college I've ever seen, right there on the beach.
They're called Dunk City, Adam. You got to have hops to go to Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, don't they have like a student union that walks down, a student union area that walks down to the beach or something at Florida Gulf Coast?
Their dorms are right on the beach. I don't know if you saw the picture or not, but they're sitting.
They have their own patio area outside their dorms, grills.
I can make that work.
Yeah, it'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, I think it goes a lot, and I think Ray Harper is planning on being here for a while. I mean, he's, from an hour down the road, coached at KWC. And I know on the radio shows, whenever he was doing his national media tour, he said a big thing about being at Western is family's just around the corner. He's like, during an off day, his nieces and everybody comes over and, family's here. And it's like, you can't do that if you go somewhere else like, UCLA or Texas or any place like that, because you're so far away. So
yeah, I know he's planning on being here for a while, but, I mean, I know you said give him 3 years, but if he doesn't, I think he's a good coach, and injuries killed us this year. But if there's another mediocre year next year, people were already saying that they thought he was a bad coach this year, especially crazy people that write on the Haven. But I mean, if you have a mediocre year next year, then you're looking at something completely different than what you are this year. But I think he's a great coach, and I don't think they're going to have a mediocre year. I think they're going to have a great year next year.
Well,
but I mean, we'll see what happens.
As long as we don't have injuries and stuff again.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big factor. I mean, people say mediocre, but, I mean, look at all the injuries we had, and we still won 20 games. Yeah. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you what kind of coach he really can be whenever he's got a, full stable athletes, healthy and ready to go. So, I mean, but, I think big things are going to come with Western. As far as recruiting, is like you said, Woody, I mean, next year is going to be the year to kind of see what, the reaches of Ray Harper, and you talk about recruiting and everything like that. Butler and BCU, they don't recruit top-notch kids.
I'm saying schools like our level that we want to be at, that top echelon of mid-majors, so-called. I mean, they're pulling in 3 stars, no stars, JUCOs, and the same model that we're going for. At our level,
we recruit against them all the time for players. I mean, it's
like I just said earlier. Brad Stevens from Butler is going after Hawkins now too, and we've been on him for forever now. So it's all about getting the players that fit the style of play you want to have and being the best at that style as you can be, I think, at our level. And I think that's what we saw a step towards this year, and we'll see even a bigger step towards next year with the guys that we're going to have,
Yeah. So I want to make the transition to a little spring football. Football time, fellas. We got 1 minute left? No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about
football. A little bit of time this week.
30 seconds, wrap it up.
30 seconds, wrap it up. Western Kentucky, of course, in the middle of spring football, had their first full scrimmage on Saturday. So some live game action. So it was pretty neat to go out there and see. And, everybody talks about the quarterback battles, who's in the lead or whatever. I mean, right now it looks like Brandon Dowdy's, your number one guy. And, it's like I said last week on the show, I think it's mainly because, he's older. I think he's got a better grasp of the playbook than everybody else. And, I mean, during the spring game, he went 21 for 34 at 214 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow, not bad.
So, he threw a pick, but, I mean, James Morrill did too. So those are your – they can't be perfect, but – he got a lot of snaps with the ones, and he was out there with the ones mostly on offense and, going against the ones on defense. Morrow still had a really nice game. He went 15 for 26 for 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick.
Morrow had a really nice deep ball, about, 50 yards, and just put it on the money.
Well, you missed. There was also
there for you.
Yeah, there was also an instance where he hit Neil Wilson on a deep pass, and Wilson was actually falling down and reached out and grabbed it with one hand for a touchdown. It's pretty sweet. So, DeMarcus Smith, he kind of struggled a little bit with his accuracy, and that's kind of been a problem of his so far in the spring. I think it's just because, he's starting to practice at a college level, and, he hadn't done that for a while. He went 8 for 22 for 159 yards. And, he shows off his athleticism. He's got really good speed. When the pocket breaks down, he can take off and run. But as far as
he throws lasers too, man. When he's accurate,
he throws lasers, but he's got to be accurate.
When he's accurate,
But and that's stuff he's working on, and even he admits that. In his post-game press conference, after practice, he said, I'm still working on my technique, and even Petrino says that, and Smith's got to work on his footwork and his technique, and that's a lot of reason why he's, overthrowing receivers and throwing behind them and everything like that. So, you guys having a staring contest over there?
I don't know what's going on.
But, I think he's going to be, kind of your third guy. But, I really honestly think that after spring football is over, you're really not going to have nobody say, so-and-so's the starting quarterback. I think it's going to kind of carry over in the fall, too. Yep. So, just some other highlights to note from the spring practice and from the full scrimmage Saturday was Tyler Higbee's turned into one heck of a tight end. Yep. Of course, he was injured last year and redshirted, and he's back. He's catching everything thrown his way. Him and Mitchell Henry is going to be a killer tight end duo.
That's what we were talking about. Like, even, as much as I love Jack Doyle, losing him.
Higbee's wearing number 82, so he's got that magic from Jack Doyle catching passes.
But having Higbee and Henry, I really don't think we're going to lose that much of a step on tight end this year, even after losing Doyle.
Yeah,
so, I think we're going to be set.
Higbee's been doing a really good job. He had I think he had about 7 catches for 139 yards and a couple scores.
We got to talk about that hit on Leon Allen real quick, where he hurdled the defensive back and got leveled midair.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that was by Daryl Gilchrist, who he made some really nice plays in the secondary. He stepped up pretty big. Of course, and a lot of people also on defense. You talk about linebackers. Sophomore DeQual Randall, he had 12 tackles and done a really nice job too. So I think he's going to be he's vying for a starting position on the linebacking corps. So he did a really good job. Of course, everybody's talking about the injuries to Andrew Jackson and Keontae Young.
Jonathan Dowling's ego, or by injuries.
Of course, Jackson went down with an ankle sprain, and Keontae Young injured his wrist, but both of them are listed as day-to-day per Western Kentucky, so they should be good to go. But, spring practice is going along really good. I think the players are starting to get comfortable with the playbook and everything, so it'll be interesting. We got 2 more weeks of practice, and then we got the spring game on the 20th, so...
All right, I'm going to squeeze a little baseball in here in this last minute. That's cool with you.
You got the last 30 seconds.
All right. Baseball dropped their first series of Sun Belt play to Arkansas State on the road this weekend. They're still sitting in second place overall in the conference. So things are going pretty well. Sun Belt's rated like the 4th best conference in the country right now. So
how's the Huckster doing?
He's got a pretty sweet mustache. He's trying to channel the power from that and start hitting some more home runs. They get Louisville at Bowling Green Ballpark tomorrow.
Big game.
Should be some great weather. Everybody come on out and support the Tops for that. And then let's see, we get Louisiana Lafayette, who is Troy at home this weekend, and so it's a big Sun Belt matchup too. So y'all come on out to the Nick and support the Tops.
Who y'all got tonight?
Michigan.
I'll go with Louisville.
I think I'm going to go with Cards too.
Michigan.
Let's go.
Go Wolverines.
All right, guys, don't forget the baseball game Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
Tomorrow. Everybody be there.
Tomorrow. Everybody be there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Hello, I'm Barbara Deeb, a producer-host here at WKYU PBS, coming to you to say